got the MVP out of the way. Now we're going to move on to
defensive or
since you said it, the defensive All NBA defensive first team, because who cares about second, third teams? Unnecessary. They released the first team NBA All Defensive first team.
Well, with that you got to start with the defensive player of the year,
right?
And that was
Joakim Noah,
New York's own.
Yes, which I have no problems with, and also segueing to, the defensive player of the year. Let's talk about that. Before we get into the team, let's talk about the defensive player of the year, Joakim Noah. I know you mentioned Dwight Howard, because really this year
he's been the guy for that position in the past few years. I mean, Tyson had it.
Yeah, Tyson won last year.
No, 2 years ago.
2 years ago was last year.
2 years ago, and Marcus Gasol won last year.
Yes.
But Dwight's been that guy. The previous years. In Orlando and years past 2-3 years or so. So.
And I make the argument that even though this is the NBA, even though it's the Defensive Player of the Year award, I argue that Joakim Noah did way more for his team, which I think has some weight to it.
I mean, he got some MVP votes.
Right, in picking, him for the award. I'm going to say he did more for his team than Dwight did. Coming in a situation where Dwight didn't really have to shoulder much of that load, because you're coming in a situation where you have a James Harden, got guys like Chandler Parsons. They have an established team coming in. He's another piece, a big piece to their puzzle. Joakim Noah was the Bulls without Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose is, once again, pretty much, all intents and purposes, didn't really play this year.
Derrick Rose was Derrick Rose.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Joakim Noah was the Bulls for this year. And if you want to look up some of the stats just between him and Dwight Howard, Joakim Noah's not a points guy. So, I have 1,007 points this year for Joakim Noah versus Dwight Howard's 1,297.
Okay.
Dwight scores points. So between the two categories, there's not much. It's for Joakim Noah to come in over 1,000 points is a lot for him.
Okay.
He's a defensive guy. That's really his shtick. He had 900 rebounds this year to Dwight's 866. So he out-rebounded Dwight this year. He like I said, he's doing more, in my opinion, for his team than Dwight does. Blocks are almost identical. Joakim Noah 121 to Dwight's 128. So even the category where Dwight is prominent, where you're like Dwight Howard is always this big time blocks guy, Joakim Noah is quietly right there with him. And I know this really wasn't one of Dwight's historically great years, but at the same time, we're talking about this year.
Okay.
Now, here's a big standout category. Not just, I'll give you steals. I'll throw it out there. Okay? Just because we're talking about defense, and even though this is a big man position, Joakim Noah had 99 steals to Dwight's 60. Now, here's the next category is where, the next two where we step into changing things a little bit. Joakim Noah had 431 assists to Dwight's 131. Okay. So once again, that's just an extension of talking about doing more for your team, A player versus B player, which I will still argue that Joakim Noah does more for his team than Dwight Howard. And then, of course, just for the heck of it, I'm going to throw in free throw percentage this year.
Okay.
And, Dwight Howard is historically a terrible free throw shooter, which didn't change very much this year at 55%. You average it out to Joakim Noah's 74%. So granted, Dwight Howard spent a lot more time at the line because he's way more offensive. So he had 638 trips to the line to Joakim Noah's 335. Nonetheless, we're talking about efficiency. What are you doing with those opportunities? And Joakim Noah is just doing more. I put out for the argument that from a talent standpoint, yes, Dwight Howard is more talented than Joakim Noah is. He's more physically imposing. He's more athletic. He can do more things with his tools. But Joakim Noah does more from an emotional heart standpoint than Dwight Howard, to me, ever has. He's not the emotional leader on the court. It's
that cheap shot?
At Dwight Howard, yeah, it's a cheap shot. It's not his thing. To me, I've never seen him. To me, part of the reason why they didn't get over that hump in winning the championship when he was in Orlando. You know, he's the best player on the team, but he's not the leader. Joakim Noah's not the best player on the Bulls, but he's the leader. You understand? Like, Derrick Rose, when healthy, is the best player on the team.
Okay.
But I don't... At this point now, we've gotten to Joakim Noah is the leader of the Bulls team on the court. That's just how I feel about it.
By default.
By default, sure.
Okay.
But yes, at this point, I'll say that's where we've gotten to.
Okay, so... No, those are good stats. Those are good information.
Uh-huh.
But... In the great words of Dwayne Johnson...
Ooh.
You can take all those stats...
references.
yes. More to come too.
Yes.
Take all those stats, turn them upside down.
You gotta shine it up first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Shine it up. Turn it upside down and shove it. You know where?
Okay, I got it.
The award we're talking about here is Defensive Player of the Year.
Yes, got it.
Now the assists and the points and the doubles and
he probably had a bunch of those
cameos and gray hair. All that doesn't mean anything.
Gray hair.
Because he didn't change the game defensively. He's in a great system with
He's in a great
Tibbs,
system. Okay.
and he had other good defensive players along with him.
Okay.
He had Dang before he got traded, and he has other good pieces, perimeter guys who are Butler.
But is he not the anchor that makes a difference?
Well, I mean, of course. I mean, he's interior player, so yes, he's the anchor. But I don't feel that he's the best defensive player in the league. Now, Dwight Howard wouldn't be my pick. I mean, he's someone who I threw out there.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can make a case for other players who I think probably deserve a better. Probably deserve a little better than Noah did. Now, we're gonna get to the defensive team, first team after this, but someone who was snubbed from the first team.
But we can go right into that if you want.
That doesn't matter. We could go back and forth. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
But LeBron James.
There we go.
Now, I don't know any player in my lifetime.
We should just give LeBron James every award there is.
Not this year, maybe next year. But
okay.
in my lifetime, I have never seen another player in my life who has guarded positions 1 through 5. Now, he doesn't do it on a nightly basis.
No,
he doesn't have to. That'd be ridiculous. But at a given moment, if he has to, he has.
Okay.
So, for perimeter guys, from
Scottie Pippen used to do.
Well, I mean, I never seen Pippen go out, Ewing.
Well, he never had to.
I mean, Oakley.
That's not the point. That's not the point. The point is continue.
LeBron does
Get into
that. He changes the game defensively. He is the anchor of that defense. Like, even though he's not he's not in the paint.
Damn team.
Well, yeah, but the defense, swarming defense, whatever, all that's because of him.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, D Wade and other guys, whatever.
Listen, the Heat are terrible without LeBron James. Let's put that out there.
Yes, they are. But he should have won last year. Gasol won. Should have won year before. Chandler won and whatever. But Chandler's been after that. But LeBron James is the best defensive player in the league. Now, there's other guys, Paul George is a good defensive player.
He's a beast.
Case for him, maybe.
He's an up-and-comer.
Ibaka, he's definitely the glue guy for that defensive team. And Iggy.
Well, now we're segueing here into the NBA All Defensive First Team here.
Iggy is a guy who's he's athletic. He's good, but
he's athletic.
He's not who he was. I don't know, 5-10 years ago in Philly.
No, he's not. However, in that system, I don't know what the system's going to be now without Mark Jackson, but over there in Golden State with Klay Thompson, who we mentioned and I mentioned, who is sneakily a very good perimeter defensive player.
Who normally draws the number one assignments defensively on the point guards.
Which, as I said before, kind of gets lost because he's such a great three-point shooter. And, it's him and Steph and Splash Brothers and all that fancy stuff. But in all that, we've completely forgotten how great he is becoming, or how good he is at the moment.
Definitely.
As a perimeter defender. It's quite a sight. But I don't know. I'm not sure. I think the thing with Iguodala is that's his game.
Well, I mean, in that
At this point in his career, and especially after the early days in Philly, where he was kind of, Iverson was on his way out, and Iguodala was coming in, and he was kind of the all-world guy for Philly, and he had to score, but I think as his career started to segue away from that, his game became about what I guess it should have always been about, which is his strength, which is defense.
I mean, he's always
That's
had that.
his thing.
But just that
he's defense.
Yeah, I agree. But on that team, they don't need him scoring.
No, they don't at all.
And his outside, shooting, whatever, was never a strength of his.
It's
so
not, but
he better be defending someone.
He can hit the three, though.
And
tell me that's not...
So can Ibaka. Doesn't mean you want him shooting threes. I mean...
That is not the same thing. That is so not the same
thing. Just because you can shoot doesn't mean you should be shooting it.
Iguodala can make the three. And I'll say this about that. Isn't it funny how when you think about some of the great defensive players, especially defensive perimeter players, how they have this similarity to being able to shoot a good three ball. Not necessarily being good with ball handling.
Bruce Bowen?
Or Bruce Bowen. It's just Iguodala. He's not a good shooter, but he can hit the three. Look, Klay Thompson is a good three-point shooter. I mean, it's I don't know what it is. What is it about being a good Shumpert? What is it about being a good perimeter defender that translates over to being able to shoot the three well? I don't know. Look at Pippen. Pippen, he wasn't that much. He developed a 3-point shot, during that stretch, between the first and second three-peat with the Bulls. Like, it's just what is it about perimeter defense that translates to being able to shoot a three? Like, I don't know. It's just weird. I think more research is required with that.
That's a random reach you got going on.
It is, and research will follow. With that on a different topic for a different day in a different segment. But continue. You got Iguodala. Like I said, who else are you gonna make? All right, so let's say you pull Iguodala. Who else are you gonna put in there from this NBA defensive team?
LeBron. On first team.
Okay, that's I guess. But once again,
okay, fine. I want to say LeBron.
MVP.
Let's bypass. No.
All NBA first team, defensive player of the year. Any other awards you like to get?
No, fine. Let's say LeBron's not on there. Tony Allen, how's that?
Okay.
The man who slowed down. I won't say shut down because he didn't shut him down.
Okay.
He slowed down Durant, the MVP.
Slowed down Durant.
First round series.
Okay.
Oh, also forgot Chris Paul was on there too, first team.
Yeah, but
league in steals.
Yeah. So.
What? I had to mention it. I mean, I did not mention.
Chris Paul. Well, that's because it's Chris Paul. Yeah. Listen.
I want to mention it.
At the point guard position, nobody else is really playing that kind of defense. And he's getting steals.
Yeah.
And that's steals translate to points.
But he also is
especially as a point guard. He's
also a solid defender. I mean, he goes twos. On the switch, and he's an active defender.
No problem. And by the way, I have my stats here. Iggy and Tony Allen pretty much had the same amount of steals this year.
I mean,
from a stats perspective.
I mean, yeah, okay.
I mean, Tony Allen's not really a stat guy. That's
exactly.
But Iguodala's not a stat guy either. That's not where his value shows up.
Okay, but so why you mention that for then?
Because my point is that if you can because we're talking at this point once again we're talking green apples and red apples. So is it Iguodala? Tony Allen's prevalent in our minds because yes, he slowed down Durant and ultimately.
But he's been doing that though.
He has been doing that. He had a great defensive year last year. I saw some of his defensive rating last year. It was from fourth in the league, but I don't even know how they calculate that. More to come on that also. But it's you could make the case for either guy.
It just goes back to his impact on the game.
I think Tony Allen might have been on the all-defensive first team last year.
Yeah, I think he was too.
Yeah.
But it just goes back to his impact on the game. I don't see Iggy as someone who slows down or stops or contains other top players.
Yeah, I guess.
Like the Clippers first round, whatever. I mean, he was guarding. I think Redick. Why Redick?
I don't know. Cause who else are you gonna guard? Chris Paul?
Why not?
I guess.
I mean, if you're all first team NBA defender, you should guard one of the best players on the other team.
Wasn't Clay guarding Chris Paul?
Exactly. Thank you. It all comes back. Jeez, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. We'll make the case for Klay Thompson in the coming series.
Hey.
All right, so enough about defense. Everybody else, I think, is there. I mean, we got Joakim Noah, Chris Paul, Paul George, Ibaka, Serge was on there.
Yep.
Everybody else is supposed to be there.